What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Jet Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz. DC Roundup. I think we're probably going to coin this one, though, WBDC Roundup.
Yeah, I put it in there because I got some Paramount-related notes that I think are potentially relevant. I'm watching those closely as we go forward. Yeah. But by the way, the shareholders voted yes. On the merger yesterday. And then they gave the symbolic vote no on David Zaslav's $900 million pay package, but he's still going to get it. So,
I mean, at this point, why would they have said no, right?
Oh, why would they vote no against the deal?
Yes.
At this point, they would not. Yeah, at this point,
Clayface. We got to talk about it. I got to pause because...
Yeah. This is most of the show. This is most of the show. We got a few other DC stuff, but this is what we want to talk about.
Again, I got a Barry Horowitz myself, yo. Been talking about this for years already. If you've been watching the Nerd Jet Report, and thank you if you have, give me a like, right? Give us a like right now if you've been watching this show for quite some time, where we've spoken about Clayface, and we've said what? Exactly what's happening. I'm not even going to say it. What's happening now is what we've said should happen. And look where we are, and we are so much better for it. But we'll see. Right now, they're on a good path, though. And we'll talk about those things. Gunn comments on Clayface connections to DCU. I mean, he can't not say it because he's trying to stick around and do what he wants to do. And we'll talk about that because this is not like... We knew this was going to be part of the DCU. I think he had mentioned this before a long time ago. This is not nothing new. New Lanterns poster. I haven't seen it, Brian, so you'll get my fresh reaction about that.
Yeah.
Some future WB clues from the Paramount side of CinemaCon.
Yeah.
Let's start. Clayface. Brian sent me the link. I knew it was coming out the following. When did it come out? Tuesday?
Well, it came out at CinemaCon. What you got released was exactly what they showed at CinemaCon. So that came out. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday.
Okay. So Monday, we already kind of knew that they were releasing it on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing my thing at home, and Brian sends me the text and the link to the video. In my brain, this is what I was thinking. We should do a reaction video. Man, I'm watching this right now.
That was pretty much my thought, too. I was like, my first thought was to not watch it and ask you, and then I was like, nah.
No, I got to watch it. I got to see this. I got to see this. But we will do, and I will say it right now, we will do our Batman, the first trailer we get for the Batman 2, we'll do a live reaction to that.
Okay, fair enough.
But for this one, it was like, there was no rules. And so I saw it, and I was like, I'm not into horror films, yo.
Nope, me neither.
I got to watch it at 6 a.m. with a couple of people in the room with sunlight coming out the windows. And if somebody needs to go to the bathroom, we hit and pause until they get back. But I said, I got to see this because why? It's been Batman's world. Batman's world, when they've done compelling work, it's not as lighthearted as the one that we got from Joel Schumacher. And the one from what's that dude? Burt Ward and
Adam West and Burt Ward.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's serious stuff.
Yeah.
You know what, Brian? This morning I thought we were gonna do the Clayface viewing or discussion. Yeah, Feet of Clay.
Let's save that one too. This is just the teaser. But yes, we definitely should do that as we go forward here.
Yeah. So I got to watch it. That's all I said. I got to watch it. And I watched it, and this is what it needed to be. And again, when you ask that question, just like Gilroy asked it, how does a rebellion begin in this world? For me, the question has always been, what does Batman have to contend with? And if that contention is impactful and will change Bruce Wayne or Batman, whoever, we got to see how Batman deals with it. Because at the end of the day, how is this dude going to do it? And a guy who is in top physical condition Alan Ritchson. But just say it again. Yeah, I'm never gonna let it go. Again, that to this day, that comment that I made on Alan Ritchson's page, the best Batman that never was. It's up to, I'm gonna put the count up on the screen. And every time we have an episode, I'm gonna just show you where we're at with the numbers on that. Like the best Batman ever was. But this is what Batman has to contend with. And you got to see what he can have to contend with. But this genre and the way they're doing it, I think will be the foundations of where the Batman universe goes from here.
It's an outstanding teaser, in my opinion, for several reasons. So one is it's a true teaser. It's perfect. I think it's the best. I think it's the best promotional material that they've done since the original fandom teaser for the Batman.
I agree. I can see that. Yes,
because it sets the tone with the sound, the quick cutting. It's designed to be jarring. It's designed to make you feel uncomfortable. They are very clear. If you can Google, you can find side-by-sides of images from Feet of Clay that they've already lifted in the teaser. The shot of him in the bandages in the hospital bed is right out of the cartoon episode. They're literally down to like where the bandage is on his face.
Yeah.
The shot of, obviously, people reference like where he has the mace in shadow of the mace. That is also from there's multiple shots from the teaser alone that are literally taken from the animated series show. But the effects look great. I mean, as we know, when you attempt something like this, the slightest bit of campiness, goofiness, shoddy CG is going to be exposed because of the nature of the character. So by making Tom Reeves Harry is a pretty handsome guy, right? They give you a quick shot of what he normally looks like. And to see the face seamlessly sagging, fading, even though we had read the description from CinemaCon, I will say watching it on screen was far more horrifying. You know, in that classic, like I can't look away, but like everything inside is making my skin crawl to watch this guy just be. And that's the hook of this is a tormented figure, right? There's nothing about this that says hero pose or anti-hero pose. Everything about this is, it is body horror. It is disturbing. It's dark. And it's meant to feel like the genre has changed. And the only clue that this is not pure horror is the DC logo and the name, which lets you know he's a Batman villain. So, look, it's just a teaser. Doesn't mean the movie's going to be amazing. No, it does not. But obviously, we know Mike Flanagan's horror chops are up there. We know the inspiration is a 5 out of 5 TV series and episode. And again, if this is a failure, I think it's the noblest failure you could have because the genre needs people to try things like this. And, you know, it's funny, we had one commenter talking about like kind of the parallels to Sony, which we had brought up the last time as well. And I will say, like, at least in the teaser, I just don't get that vibe. I just don't get the Sony thing always had to me the goofiness vibe. It always had this, like, you're trying to make Morbius and Craven feel like heroes, giving them like their leaping poses and this action. And like, there's no attempt at that. Like, this is a grotesque figure that you're being shown. And you don't have no idea of like where that leads. The only question you're left with, you know, I think we got to pull the Lawrence Fishburne quote from Man of Steel. I just keep having it in my head. Like, could you imagine if people knew there was someone like this out there? That's the only question that's in my head when I look at this guy. Like, what is his place in society? And then, of course, that leads to, and as you say, with the Batman rogues, part of what makes them compelling is that Batman, because of his code, he isn't out there mowing them down mindlessly, right? A lot of what he does is like because he is so flawed and damaged himself, he's connecting with them in a weird way. There's empathy there. And so that's where like you see someone like this in this plight where you're like, yeah, I could see where he can break bad and he can do horrific things. And we know Clayface does do villainous things, but you can also even already see that sliver of like, I think Batman would take pity on this guy too. And there's that aspect of how they, if they ever do come face to face, what that would look like. So no, this was an outstanding teaser. Again, low budget, coming at Halloween, all the signs here, everything is set up, right? It's like you put everything in place for this to be something meaningful, be something memorable. I think they've got it. I think they got a real shot here.
There is a lot of potential brilliance in this Batman Clayface showdown at some point, in terms of Batman having that empathy and perhaps wanting to help Clayface, right? At least make the attempt to bring him back, doing his, having the opportunity to experiment and do things that would possibly help him. And then Clayface, questioning Batman as far as, were you always Batman or were you someone else?
Yeah.
That's to me, there's a lot of brilliance and a lot of interesting dialogue. And I think that's one of the things that made the animated series great as well. When we watch it, we'll dive deeper, but this could be something huge. And I think, again, like I said before, Clayface could be the foundation and the lifeline that Gunn needs in order to continue. Because
I don't agree with that, but
it could be.
I am 100% convicted he's done no matter what.
Okay.
What I will say is it will be highly ironic, given that James Gunn has his own personal connections to the horror genre in his career. It will be highly ironic if the legacy of his DCU that actually lives on is this: that he greenlit, that he did actually have the knowledge to greenlight this pitch, which came out of nowhere with Mike Flanagan. Because to me, like, you don't get a lot of shots of Gotham. You get a few in this teaser. But in theory, this is DCU Gotham, right? This is Batman's home. And the little bits you see, in my mind, I'm looking for, like, what could they just carry forward and not have to reset? And this is the kind of thing they could. Like, if this works, you haven't introduced DCU Batman yet. There's nothing wrong with simply saying, great, this was a huge hit. People like this version of Gotham. People responded to this movie. Great. New leadership at DCU. There's your Gotham. Work with it. That's totally fine. But no, to me, there is no, I will keep saying it and I will certainly stand up and be wrong. I see no scenario where James Gunn is playing for his job because his job's already gone. What we're hoping for, like I said, is some threads that can continue forward, right? Lanterns, Clayface. We're hoping for some things that don't have to be wiped off the board because audiences simply tell Paramount these are too good for you to let go.
I still think he's going to perhaps still make a pitch, even though he's a goner. He's going to probably be allowed to make a pitch, right? At least give him that. Let's say that they just give him that, Brian. Go ahead. Even though you're not going to give it to him, you're like, go ahead. Let's see, what are your thoughts? And if what he says, there's more of that goofiness, I've heard all I've needed to hear. Thank you for your services. If there's any other ideas that you want to pitch that's not in the DCU, we are always willing to listen. But we are moving forward in a new direction.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to be nasty to him or anything like that. I just think they just have different ideas and this is why I have the Paramount side of CinemaCon on our agenda. I thought there were some things they showed there and talked about there where I was like, I just don't see how James Gunn fits in. I don't see how his sensibilities and how he thinks about characters and films fit with what I'm seeing these dudes, these new bosses present. I don't see it.
Yeah.
But this was a great teaser. Like whoever,
absolutely.
like I said, I will give Gunn his credit again for greenlighting this.
Yes.
Because he didn't have to, as we've seen, we definitely have word that he's kind of scuttled other stuff. Yeah. I give him credit for
doing this one,
recognizing there was potential here and allowing it to happen. You have to give him that credit.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
well, let's just bring his comments in here because he was asked about this, obviously, because it's not his film. And by the way, this doesn't look like his. That's the other thing. This doesn't look and feel like, how Supergirl looks and feels like a James Gunn movie. This doesn't look and feel like a James Gunn movie. He said this is the first project, even though it is DCU, not Elseworlds, this is the first project that will occur not in chronological order. So he said that the events of this movie predate anything you have seen in the DCU related stuff by a fair bit, just for what it's worth. So that has been thought out. So that gives you the runway of the gap between the creation of Clayface and whenever they would think about him coming face to face with Batman. This is like well before.
How many did they say? How many years?
They didn't, but the implication is a lot. Like it's a while. So like the events of Superman, the events of Supergirl, the events of Creature Commandos, all that stuff is well later than this, is what he said.
What it does, especially with the technology around today, if they are able to capitalize on the tools to keep that character looking the way he does throughout, and not have to change it. That's I'm telling you, foundation. Do you think, Brian, that after this, because again, you have Penguin out there, you're going to have Clayface out there. Do you think people will be clamoring for Batman now, or want to see another attempt at another rogue to build this collection of rogues, and then we see the movies that deal with those characters on a singular, type of movie, not part 1, part 2, part 3, but Batman versus not necessarily because I hate the versus titles, but something that you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think people are always clamoring for Batman, to be quite honest. But I think it's a really complicated question given the merger, right? I think on the one, I think the things that I look at here is one, WB, like all the studios, horror is a really popular genre for obvious reasons, right? It's cheap to make. Audiences tend to come out in force. And it's, if you hit any sort of concept people like, instant franchise, right? You can make 4, 5, 6, right? Look at all the ones that are out there. Like, what was it? Insidious. What are we on now on that one? Like, or the Saw movies. How many of those do they make? Like, once you hit a concept that people like, you start cranking them out. So every studio likes horror. This introduces obviously the idea of superhero horror and connectedness and all that sort of stuff. So on the one hand, I would say, look, if this hits, there absolutely will be another rogue horror movie, like without question. Maybe there's even a hero horror movie. Like as we talked about, like Midnight Suns. Like, I don't know, you could pivot. There's characters you can pivot into horror if you really think that's the place that audiences will respond.
I'm gonna throw this one in there, and we don't have to talk about it, but I'm just gonna throw this one there because I've always envisioned this character played in this way that could bring it to a healthy level as far as the genre goes. That's Scarecrow.
Yeah, so I think without question, if this hits, you will see more of it. And I think the real thing I'm looking at is, will Disney follow suit, as we talked about with Midnight Suns, those characters? Will they just lean darker? Will they go, because this is R-rated, right? So like, will they lean R-rated and say, look, there is a world where that works, and we're just going to make them horror movies and horror characters? I think that'll happen. The Batman question is, I mean, like I said, it's tricky because it's like, you referenced two things that are from two different worlds, technically, right? Like Penguin is from the Matt Reeves Batman world, so that world has its Batman.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
this doesn't. And I think people, I think there is always, like, if they have a rudimentary understanding of the characters, will be like, well, where is Batman? Like, why? What's he doing, and that sort of thing. But weirdly, I think that's what makes Clayface kind of an interesting one to try this with, because there's a lot of average moviegoers who probably don't know who Clayface is and don't know that Clayface. Whereas if, whereas like obviously when they announced like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie, everyone knows who the Joker is. Everyone knows who the Joker's foe is. There's other ones too, right? There's other characters in the Batman Rogues Gallery that are deep enough to where if you're not a comics fan, you don't have to necessarily give away to audiences that there's a Batman connection. broader audiences. I mean, I'm very excited though. Very, very excited. I like when we read about it, we were like, oh, that sounds promising. And then when I saw it, I was like, and I see like, we don't know much, like Tom Reese Harry, limited body of work, but I will say like just the physical of like how he looks normally versus how he looks deformed. I like the casting choice. I was like, you found a good face to do this with.
In that teaser, you see the sudden change of direction. What he was and what he was the guy living the life.
Actor, yeah, like he has that golden boy look.
Then to losing it. The psychiatric, I would say, changing his mind in terms of the intensity of it, in terms of his intentions of towards people who don't give him what he needs and wants. We don't know what he needs and wants, but I would assume that once what happens to him, he is going to go through that stage of being in wonder of what he can do, but at the same time wanting to go back to what he once was.
Absolutely.
Because after what happens to him, there's just no going back.
That's why this is not a movie to me that requires him to be some kind of savior against a bigger threat.
Yeah.
I think they'd be very wise to not do that. This is about, as you said, this individual coping with his own trauma. That, which, by the way, that is the parallel to Batman himself. As I said, when you get down the essence of it, Batman is always coping. He's always coping.
Yeah.
And so if you create this character who copes in a different way, copes in a way that leads him to villainy, leads him to crime, leads him to things that we rather he not do, that's tragic. I don't need him to leap off a rooftop and stop someone else. Which is what Sony was doing with all their characters, right? It's like Kraven's stopping Rhino and like Morbius is stopping Matt Smith. It's like, we don't need that. We understand if this is a horror movie, he doesn't have to be the hero of anything. As you said, he needs to be a force to be reckoned with. That's what he needs to be.
The curiosity for this movie is gonna swell. What was the cost for this movie?
So it's said between 30 and 40 million.
You're jumping for joy at 150.
150 is already, that's already a home. 5 times your budget is already a home run. I think it's going north of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think so. Weapons was like 300 and change. I think that's what you're aiming at. To me, I think these movies typically don't have like 600 and 700 million in them. That's kind of not what they do. But I think Halloween time, if this is well regarded and Mike Flanagan is a horror brand name, I think 300 it's doable.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 is good.
Wow. I mean, if they did that, then that's all timer. I mean, that's an all timer if they pull that off.
Then you start having the discussions. I don't want to do a Clayface 2.
No, I completely agree with you on that. I would hold way off.
Get people excited about the Rogues Gallery, yo.
Yes.
Does that mean we do a Mr. Freeze? I don't know.
Would love it. I love the character. I mean, we've been dying for that character in live action in a serious way, right? Not the way Arnold did it. The other thing is because we know Zach Cregger's was pitching that henchman idea, which was based on another animated series episode. Guys, that's the Bible. It's sitting like we have the comics; those are great. Yeah. But like, if you need another reference point, the animated series is just sitting right there. They gave you these characters. They gave you origins of a lot of these characters. Like, it's right there. If you just want to do a series of launch pads from the animated series iterations of these, that would be fine. That will work in the right hands. But I agree with you. The next movie is not Clayface 2. It's whether it's Mr. Freeze, whether it's, I don't know, pick another one. Man-Bat, Mad Hatter. Pick another one. A different character. Take a similar approach in the same Gotham. And now you're starting to build this interest of like, Batman in trouble, yo. he's got problems.
And if you wanted to be quick about it, like let's say this is 400 mil, right? 300, 400 mil, whatever, right? They see they made money, right? You follow that up. If they don't want to draw this Batman situation out, you can then follow that up with Clayface and Batman. You know, you give it its title and stuff, but Batman is in it now. Does that movie make $1 billion? has a high probability, Brian. If it does, and you can continue your series with that, you do Scarecrow his own movie. It makes 400. You make it cheap. Make it cheap. Because at the end of the day, we got this $100 billion that we owe.
Well, that's the thing, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's make dope stuff with a small budget. Yeah. Then we bring Batman in for the second one because he got to deal with him now. And that's $1 billion. Batman is $1 billion movie, yo.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, should be. And I think will be again with Batman Part 2. But you're right. I think it's, look, if you've got Kreger's in the house and you've got Flanagan, if you got the right horror guys walking around, you know, those are the people you should be asking to, you know, and it's funny, like he this is a guy who made a lot of money for DC in a very kind of goofy way, but he cut his chops as a horror guy. James Wan was a horror guy, you know, before he did Aquaman. That's what he was known for. So it's like WB has worked with a lot of the best horror directors out there. It's like, I think clearly they're interested in the genre. So why not kind of assemble them or assemble a room of them and be like, hey, we can put together this type of genre. I think this is going to be, I heard someone else say what we've been saying, which is that they were very interested in this movie for the possibility of what it could open up within superhero storytelling if it works. And over at The Ringer, they're talking about the same thing now. It's like, we were there first, guys. We talked about that with this guy now way back when, but like they echoed the same point this week.
Yeah, man.
Curiosity.
This is going to be very interesting. So Lanterns has a new poster. What is this poster, Brian? Let me look it up right now.
I'll give you one guess what color the poster is.
Don't tell me it's green. Don't tell me they gave in.
It's green.
Oh my God, they gave in to the. I would have been like, you know what, guys?
Brown, more brown.
Yeah, more brown, yo. I would have make it look like a chicken McNugget, yo.
It's green. The poster, James Gunn put it on his socials. It is green. It also has sort of like a Highlander-esque reference to like only one can wear the ring, which that I don't know about. So I know the ring passes, right? The ring passes from wearer to wearer. I'm curious to see that tagline with a Hal and John story. Does that imply that John is supposed to get Hal's ring by the end of this show? Is that that was the kind of the intrigue I thought of the poster. But yes, it is literally just like a green sheet with like with a picture of the ring itself, and then like only one can wear the ring, which I thought was pretty funny.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, you see like the silhouette of Hal and John, and then like the ring on the side with the and then only one can wear the ring, and it's all green. Yeah,
but still, now that I'm seeing it, it's fine. You know why? Because there is still that muted is not, bright green. Like if you go, what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's like a forest.
Yeah. This is fun. This is fun. This is all right. But I still wouldn't have given in. I'll put like the ring is mad bright and but everything else is the other color so it can stand out maybe. I don't know, but watch the joint. When it comes out and everybody's like, oh snap. I would assume that is their intention.
Again, the rumor is the back half of somewhere in this season, there's a pivot. That's the rumor that we've heard. Okay. So you should expect a lot of dust and, heartland and farms and brown and earthbound stuff in the first half of the season. But the rumor is there's a moment where it pivots and they do go to space. And I just feel like if that's true, everyone who's been grousing about this stuff is going to have to apologize.
And here's the thing. We've seen instances of space now that are magical in terms of how they, in terms of the texture and aesthetic and colors that they add. I still liked Fantastic Four quite a bit. Many people like Interstellar, the way space looks there.
Yeah,
there's
great.
These examples that we could be like, yo, now we see it with Green Lantern. Brian, that's exciting.
It is. No question.
That's exciting.
No question.
I still think that they're changing the use cases of how the ring works. I think on Earth, you don't have the green aura. In space, you do.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's a lot to work with there. I also just think I'm also looking at the people involved, right? And it's like, the series that they were involved in, from Ozark to Lost or whatever. And like, there's these people all have an element of, we like to hide the ball a little bit. And, I think Lost is a great example. Like, whatever you think about how that ended, how it was promoted initially versus what the show actually was are not exactly the same thing, right? That's so I think this is definitely like hey, we know what we need to get you to tune in. We've got the HBO halo around this. We're holding, and a lot of it is because of the rumors, but like I also think it's my belief in the people. It's like we're holding the good stuff.
I'm gonna put that clip of Braveheart. Hold. That's what they're doing.
But they got people talking. That's the thing. Like so it worked. Like, it's like they got you talking. They got you talking in a somewhat critical way, maybe in a somewhat skeptical way. But like, they don't care because you're talking. When the series
you're gonna see it, and it's HBO, baby.
And it's like
the next on Monday is when you'll get everybody saying whatever they're gonna say about it at the water cooler.
The second you get to that moment or that episode, if it's true, what do you think the talk is going to be the next? And then everyone's going to catch up, and it's like, Game of Thrones was obviously very popular from the get-go, but there's those moments in Game of Thrones that became something else, right? And for the people who didn't know the books in particular, right? It's like, spoiler alert, Ned Stark getting executed. It's like, wait, the guy they promoted as the lead of the show gets his head chopped off before the end of the season, right? That was a big deal in the moment for people who didn't know the books. Red Wedding, right? It's like, they did what to the make? Like, that's what we're talking about in terms of, you promote one thing, you showcase certain actors and then like you do something very different.
They make you like him. Yeah. Yeah, they make you like him, and then they off him. You're like, oh snap, what?
Yeah.
Who's gonna get revenge? How is it? What the people? What are they going? How are they gonna react?
Yep.
To the other characters that know about this? What are they gonna do?
Yep.
Let's see, man.
And maybe we'll be totally wrong. And if we are totally wrong, we'll be the first ones to sit on here and be like, man, that was a letdown, and that was a disappointment. Why did we do this?
When I'm not going to stand behind. Look, if you've been watching this show, how long have I been saying He-Man $2 billion? Ask me again.
I will say, I sent you that international trailer? Didn't you get a little bit of the like nostalgic goosebumps in the first 20 seconds when that music popped on? I was just like, oh, I like hearing it. But it doesn't change what you see. But
here's the thing. Like, I've been watching it with my son. So when I was first listening to it again, I was like, oh, so it took me back when I was having salami and white rice. But they gave away too much, and
it doesn't look good enough. It just doesn't look good enough.
No. And so we are allowed to change our minds when we are proven otherwise.
Yeah, you just be honest about what you see along the way. But I think in the case of Lanterns, I think we're believers, and then if we're proven wrong, we'll stand up and say it. But I think there's something else here. You guys that's hidden from view, and we'll see what it is.
Some future WB clues from the Paramount side of CinemaCon, Brian.
Yeah.
What have you deciphered from this event?
I think my main things that felt affirming to some of the things we talked about, and then a little bit alarming that I wanted to highlight. One is they are definitely fast tracking things they think can be big and make cash. And for lack of a better word, it felt very masculine and muscular. So their presentation centered on the announcement of we're fast tracking a new Transformers movie with Michael Bay. So that's, for better or for worse, he's a very masculine, muscular action director.
Yeah.
Fast tracking a new G.I. Joe movie. And obviously we know those universes are now connected, but obviously they officially announced and did a little promotional material for the Peter Berg, Taylor Sheridan Call of Duty movie, which has been planted for summer 2028. Again, masculine, muscular, military right there. And then they also confirmed and announced Top Gun 3, which I think we knew was coming. But here was the thing when that came out that I think you should be concerned about and shows to me the urgency of what's going on. So Top Gun 3 is happening. Joe Kosinski not directing.
Oh, God, no.
It started out as just...
Why is he not directing? Because he's too busy. So it's not that he doesn't want to do it. It's not that he's not willing to do it. It's that he's doing Miami Vice. He has another big, I think, sci-fi project that he's got teed up. And so he's like, I can't do it in the timeline you need me to do it in. So look, they waited 36 years between Top Gun 1 and 2.
Y'all can't wait another couple.
Top Gun 3, they're like, we couldn't even get the guy who the Academy Award nominated director for it is not available. We got to make it anyway. That to me is now, I think almost certainly, my guess, though they didn't say it, I think Chris McQuarrie will direct this because he helped write the last one. And obviously the connection to Cruise is so tight with Mission Impossible and he can do the stunts and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, when you have a movie that did as well as Maverick did and you have a director who's blown up the way Kosinski has, for you to just shunt him aside because you need to get this out the door, I don't know how you can read that any other way than like, we on the clock here and we need big, big box office projects, which to me, if you're staring at DC, why are they going to treat DC any differently is my question to you. Prove to me why they would treat it differently. Mm-hmm. Transformers, G.I. Joe, a Call of Duty adaptation, and Top Gun 3.
This definitely sets up that possibility, like we said, that we might get a Justice League movie after they pivot.
And this is why I don't think James Gunn is going to have a job, because the style and the people they've got and what they're pushing here, like I said, it's all muscular, masculine, military, big, like that's not what the tone of his stuff is.
Yeah.
It's not. And so to me, it's like, now, there's somebody out there who's like, you know, who you're describing right now is Zack Snyder's approach to and I was like, I understand that. So like, I realize that I'm saying that, but it just feels to me like there's going to be this combination of that's the tone of the project we want. And then we need to get cranking, to your point about the Justice League movie. And I just think that's going to lead inevitably to new leadership, like a crossroads of some kind, where it's like it just can't work with us. We need something different. I don't know. That's just my read the tea leaves. But like everything they trotted out, I was like, okay, so they ain't doing anything small. They're not doing anything in any other genre. This is action, 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 which is the word that. So what I've read, I try to read like that's kind of like what Ellis. That's the word on Ellison of stuff. Like he's a popcorn guy. Like that's what he likes.
You just need good ideas, man.
I'm not saying that can't make money. I'm just saying it doesn't leave room for a lot of the stuff that James Gunn has liked to do historically.
Well, here's the thing. There has to be some sort of careful approach as far as, with Transformers and G.I. Joe and whatever else that they want to do. It's real easy to get inspiration because of, maybe things like He-Man. No, not He-Man. Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat. These video games, these comic book characters. And again, Super Mario Brothers, that nostalgia aspect and how that brings money. Top Gun Maverick is a nostalgia play, yo. And done with a good story. But at the end of the day, it's nostalgia. Yeah. Because we know how we feel when we see Top Gun. What they do 20 years from now is still an interesting conversation.
Well, you hit on what clearly is taking over from superheroes as the new big frontier. That's game adaptations. For the longest time, Hollywood had failed at this. Decades. It just, failed attempts, right? As we've talked about many times on the show. The success of things like Super Mario Brothers, Minecraft, has led to the golden age of this. So that's why you see Call of Duty. That's why you see Elden Ring. That's why you see, Baldur's Gate. Like, that's why they're going after the whole Nintendo universe. Like, this is why this has happened. Assassin's Creed finally happening on Netflix. This is what's going on. So you're right. That, I think, is where a lot of the dollars are going to go. And you're also right that for almost any classic game, nostalgia is front and center for why you do it and how successful you are at it. And why a lot of these adaptations historically failed is because they made no attempt to actually capture that. But I don't know. Like, just when I saw this line that they trotted out, I was just like, oh, and went back and reviewed it. I was like, wow. To me, it's like that has to be some kind of a template for how they perceive the DC library and like what they want to do with it. Like how they think about Superman or Batman, or how they would want the overseer of those projects to think about those characters. And that Kosinski thing, I think, is alarming. I think that's like
oh yeah, absolutely.
You're taking a surefire thing and you are willing to risk its success by removing one of the key cogs simply because you're on a schedule.
I'm gonna throw this idea one last time. I'm gonna pitch it to you, Brian. Now, I said it before. The Bionic 6. And you start off with, just to test the waters, you do a Bionic woman with Zoe Saldana. You do a $6 trillion man with with Alan Ritchson. Yeah, these are numbers now that come up daily.
A lot of inflation. Yeah. 6 million is not going anywhere for us. Yeah, we just
you're not getting nothing Bionic with no 6 million. Yeah. And then you build towards a Bionic 6 a Bionic 6 family that is in the same world as the Bionic woman and Bionic man. And in the future, depending on the success of those two, you get two. I think you could probably get 2 or 3 out of each. And then you start putting in the plugs in for the Bionic 6. You got there's your 10-year plan. Would you buy into that Bionic woman Zoe Saldana?
Yeah, we talked about this previously. Yeah. She's great. I'll watch anything she's in. Yeah, no, I think she could channel. She could definitely channel the Lindsay Wagner of it all too. So.
Yes, Jamie Summers. You got Oscar Goldman looking smooth. Come on, man. You got your characters there. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below, and let us know what you guys think of what we've discussed on this episode of the DC Roundup. Again, Clayface trailer is one to look out for. If you're following the Nerd Gen Report, again, we've been talking about this forever now, yo. Barry Horowitz. Gunn comments, obviously, on the Clayface connection to DCU, knowing that if this is huge, that this could set up something bigger. Even though I still think that perhaps James Gunn thinks that there's a shot at him continuing, but Brian says he's out. They just haven't said it yet. That's all that is. New Lanterns posters, they give us a little tease of green, but it's an acceptable green because, hey, this cactus is out in the desert, yo. You know what I'm saying? So there's your hints of green. Some future WB clue. There's some future WB clues from the Paramount side of CinemaCon. $100 billion, Brian. That sign up there, getting probably higher and higher each day. They need to make that. What we're saying is perhaps that is, although yes, we understand that you need to get that down, but you can't afford big budget spends on duds. You can't have 2 of those in a row. So if we get that, then something has to change, and that has to be with new. You perhaps have too many minds right now. You need new minds, new visions, new paths, new possibilities. Not the same people just money hungry, yo. If they're not creatives, worry about where's the money? Give me the money so I can do what I gotta do. And we should take a chance on that rather than push. with stuff that could work, but can be forgotten once you mess it up. You can't touch it for another 10, 15 years. And that's not where we want to be with these characters, yo. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think. Remember to hit that like and subscribe. And remember, if you haven't heard it anywhere else, you heard it here first on the Nerd Gen Report.